Any other pseudonym besides Miss Virgo?
No.
What made you choose that name?
Virgo is my birth sign.
It wasn't because the word has a slightly sexy connotation?
No.
Why use a false name for business at all? Why not use your real name?
Well, astrology has some mystique about it, and I thought that Miss Virgo would be more intriguing than Mrs. Heppel.
More intriguing or more enticing? Miss Virgo will reveal all. Now, that's the last line of these advertisements you placed in shop windows, isn't it?
Yes.
That sounds quite enticing, doesn't it?
Perhaps it does.
Enticing and suggestive, I would think. Mrs. Heppel, I see that you appear in court wearing a demure, modest, rather conservative outfit. Certainly nothing enticing or suggestive about that. Is that the way you normally dress for work when entertaining your gentlemen clients in your cosy office with its subdued lighting and its red satin bed?
My lord, my friend is being less than learned if he thinks he can present a series of questions like that.
My lord, I'm only repeating what's already been described in earlier testimony.
Yes, Mr. Lotterby, I think you might put the questions without the embellishments.
Ah, very well, my lord. How do you dress for your work?
No particular way, whatever I happened to put on that morning.
One witness has testified that you wore a tight-fitting sweater and a short skirt. Would that be the sort of thing?
Well, sometimes, yes.
A negligee, perhaps?
No, certainly not. I don't even have a negligee.
Why is there a bed in your office?
Because I sleep there. There are only 2 rooms. My baby has the other room.
Is your baby in the next room when you're entertaining your client?
My lord, I object to the repeated use of the word entertaining.
Is your baby in the next room when your clients visit you?
Not usually, no.
Where is she?
I leave her with a lady down the street who minds babies.
But sometimes the baby is in the next room.
Occasionally.
Now, you have admitted having sex with at least 20 of your clients.
Yes.
Now, how did you pick that figure? Have you kept a list? I mean, why 20? Are you sure it wasn't 30 or 50 or 100?
No, about 20.
You told the court you enjoy making love to these complete strangers.
No, I didn't.
Oh, you most certainly did, Mrs. Heppel. I have it here.
I never used the words making love.
Oh, well, let's not quibble about words, Mrs. Heppel. You enjoy letting these strangers use your body, do you?
They don't use my body any more than I use theirs.
Now, do you really expect us to believe, Mrs. Heppel, that the money paid to you by these 20 or so clients whom you've admitted having sex with was merely for having their stars read?
Yes.
Was the baby in the next room during any of these sexual activities?
Lord, what has that
Yes,
to do
Miss
with
Dade,
this
I think,
case?
Mr. Lotterby, the question as to whether the baby was in the next room is immaterial. You've made your point. Let's leave it at that.
As you wish, my lord. Mrs. Heppel, do you ever have any women clients?
Yes.
Now, what proportion of your clientele is female?
Oh, about 1 in 10, I suppose.
So 90% of your clientele is male.
Yes.
Now, why do you suppose that is? Is it not because that is the whole object of the exercise? To attract male custom? Is it not that both your manner of advertising, the setup at your so-called office are designed to accomplish precisely that?
That's not what's intended, no.
Isn't it, Mrs. Heppel? It's from the men that the money flows. That is why your fees are so cleverly divided into 2 parts. Only £5 for the consultation, well, that's just to get them there, and then an extra £10 to have their chart drawn up. And the man is sitting there in the seductive atmosphere, his eyes glued to your barely concealed body, and if he wants to stay longer, he must pay the extra £10. So he pays up, naturally hoping he's going to get more than his horoscope.
No,
and they do get more than their horoscope, don't they, Mrs. Heppel? But either way, the whole procedure is a piece of chicanery, isn't it? A camouflage.
No, it isn't.
Come now, Mrs. Heppel or Miss Virgo or whatever you choose to call yourself. You know very well what line of business you're in, and that's why you've gone to such great lengths and cunning lengths to conceal the fact that you're just a common prostitute.
That's a lie.
My lord, that sort of attack on this would...
Not to her like that.
Dr. Napier, you must not interrupt.
My lord, he's treating her like a criminal. She's not even on trial.
You must not speak now. Miss Tate, please advise your client that any further interruption from the dock will result in his removal from the court.
I apologize for the interruption, my lord, but it does seem that what my learned friend lacks in evidence, he is making up for in bombast and insult.
That is for the jury to decide. Now, perhaps we can continue with your cross-examination, Mr. Lotterby, if you have any more questions for the witness.
Yes, indeed, my lord. What is the purpose of this printed form you get your clients to sign?
Exactly what it says. It's a receipt.
Why should you need a receipt saying that the money given to you was for astroanalysis, etc.? What else could it be for?
Why does anyone need a receipt?
Oh, that doesn't quite answer the question, does it? I suggest, Mrs. Heppel, that the reason you get your clients to sign these receipts is as a precaution against just such an eventuality as this, when it might be claimed that the services you are offering are not entirely on an astral plane.
Well, that's your interpretation.
Yes, it is, and it is the correct one, is it not?
No.
Have you ever had sex with the accused, Paul Napier? Did you not hear the question?
No.
You didn't hear the question?
No, I've never had sex with Dr. Napier.
What is your relationship with him?
We're on friendly terms.
A friendly landlord, is he? How often do you see each other?
Quite often.
Could you be more exact?
Well, 2-3 times a week, perhaps.
His flat or yours?
At his, or we go out.
Yes, at the time the house was under surveillance, you were observed going out together. Where would you be going?
The cinema, a concert, perhaps.
Would that have been a pop or a classical concert?
Classical.
Has Dr. Napier encouraged you to be interested in more serious music?
Yes.
Who pays on these occasions when you go out together?
Well, we go Dutch.
You go Dutch? Oh, that's a very friendly arrangement. But has it ever occurred to you, Mrs. Heppel, that it's not exactly friendly of your landlord to charge you the exorbitant rent of £50 a week? You ever complain about it? Ever go to the rents tribunal about it?
No.
Why not?
Because I don't consider the rent exorbitant.
£50 a week for a 2-room basement flat? You don't find that exorbitant?
Not considering I'm using it as office premises. You can't get furnished office premises for much less.
Oh, I'm sure you can, Mrs. Heppel.
Not in central Fulchester. We checked the prices. And then there were the expenses involved in renovating the flat.
Ah, yes. Oh, tell us about these renovations.
Well, when I moved in, the place was in bad condition, run down. Dr. Napier had it completely redecorated and put in some new furniture.
And something else, which was new, was also put in, was it not, in September 1973?
The new entrance, you mean?
A separate private entrance to the basement flat which had not been there before.
Yes.
Now, what, pray, would be the purpose of that?
Well, obviously it was more convenient for the clients not to have to go in and out of the front door of the house.
Obviously more convenient and more confidential. Well, Dr. Napier certainly went out of his way to put the basement flat in good order for you to carry on your little business. And you've been paying him to the tune of £50 a week ever since. And what's more, paying your own way when you go out together. Oh, no wonder he's such a friendly landlord. You're a very lucrative tenant, Mrs. Heppel. You provide him with the bulk of his income.
You wish to re-examine, Miss Tate?
No, my lord. Perhaps there is something you'd like to ask the witness?
Yes, there is. Mrs. Heppel, you have told us that at the age of 20 you have already had a marriage which lasted only 6 months and ended very abruptly and no doubt very unhappily.
Yes.
You have also told us that you would rather have sex with a stranger than get involved in some relationship which might end in disaster. Have you experienced more than the one such relationship?
Yes, 2.
2. So, would you say perhaps that you feel a certain bitterness towards men?
Yes, I suppose so.
Feel you want to get your own back on men? To get out of them all that you can?
Yes. Yes, I hate them. I hate the lot of them.
Thank you, Mrs. Heppel. You may leave the witness box.
I call the defendant, Dr. Paul Napier.
What is your religion?
I'm agnostic, I'll affirm.
Please read aloud the words on this card.
I, Paul Napier, do solemnly, sincerely, and truly declare and affirm that the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
You are Paul Alexander Napier, and you live at number 36 Motcombe Road, Fulchester.
Yes?
Dr. Napier, do you live alone in the ground floor flat at that address?
Yes, I do.
Who owns the house?
I do.
How long have you lived there?
15 years.
How old are you?
I'm 45.
Are you married?
No, I'm divorced.
Is it right that you formerly occupied the whole house with your wife and 2 children?
Yes.
When did your wife and children leave?
In December 1967.
And you were later divorced?
Yes.
What is your occupation?
I have none.
You're not employed?
No.
Do you not practice as a doctor?
No, I was struck off by the General Medical Council.
When did that take place?
In November 1967.
I must ask you to tell the court why you were struck off by the medical council.
For unprofessional conduct with a female patient.
Dr. Napier, at that time in November 1967, when the findings of the British Medical Council went against you, was there considerable publicity about the case?
Yes.
In both the national press and the Orchestra papers?
Yes.
Did your photograph appear in the newspapers?
Yes.
More than once?
Several times.
So there might well be people in court, perhaps even members of the jury, who recognize you and remember what happened.
It's possible.
Well, if such is the case, I'm sure that those members of the jury who do remember will not allow it to prejudice them or influence them in this particular case.
State, you can safely leave it to me to instruct the jury.
I'm sorry, my lord, but I feel that I must draw attention to the fact that I have introduced my client's past history. Had I not done so, it would have been inadmissible evidence.
Yeah.
It would never have been alluded to.
No.
But for those members of the jury who may have remembered, it would have been in the back of their minds, hanging over them like a cloud.
Yes, yes, yes.
I'm trying to clear the air, my lord.
Let's get on.
Dr. Napier, what was your reaction when you were struck off on the grounds of misconduct with a woman patient?
I was stunned and very angry.
And what did you do about it?
I appealed.
To the Medical Council?
Yes.
With what result?
With no result.
Well, what did you do then?
Well, I tried to bring an action against them.
You tried to bring a civil action in the courts against the Medical Council.
Yes.
To do what?
Well, to prevent them from taking away my livelihood.
On what grounds?
On the grounds that I had been convicted without having had a trial. Only a hearing before a panel, which is not a court of law. That I had been convicted on the evidence of the lady in question and one other witness who was a friend of hers.
And you felt that this evidence would not stand up in a court of law?
I was sure it wouldn't.
So what happened?
I couldn't bring an action.
You had no redress at law?
No, nothing could be done.
With the result that you were struck off the medical register and consequently unable to practice as a doctor in this country or in any other country, is that so?
Yes.
What effect did this have on your family?
Well, it finished us as a family. My wife was so upset and shocked by the scandal that she took the children to live with their grandparents, our parents in Derbyshire.
To live permanently?
Yes, and a few months later she started divorce proceedings.
Your wife did not stand by you in this crisis in your life?